We will try. Good morning everyone, how you doing? It's Paul here from Unusual Things, coming to you today from a very, very windy Brighton and Hove, of course. And we've come to find the final resting place of St George Everest. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about him real soon, and you may be wondering why I'm starting off in a residential area. It's because I'm against the clock. It's all permit parking down here, as always in Brighton, and I can't find anywhere where you need to pay. I say that as I walk past the pay machine. However, it just says payment permits only where I am. Anyway, if you like the video today, please give it a little thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Ooh, going the wrong way now. Subscribe to the channel. And I will tell you a little bit more about Sir George Everest. It's unusual to see me in a main street. I'm usually lurking around in a cemetery or churchyard somewhere. But we'll get on with it and try not to get run over. Sir George Everest, CB, FRS, FRAS, FRGS, 4th of July 1790 to the 1st of December 1866, was a British surveyor and geographer who served as Surveyor General of India from 1830 to 1843. Everest was born on the 4th of July 1790, but his birthplace is uncertain. He was baptised in Greenwich, London on the 27th of January 1791. He was born either at Greenwich or at Guerneville Manor, his family's estate, near Crickhowell, Berkshire, now part of Powys, Wales. Everest was the eldest son and third of 6 children born to Lucetta Mary Neesmith and William Tristram Everest. His father was a solicitor and justice of the peace, part of a Greenwich family of long standing, and was successful enough to acquire a large estate in South Wales. His grandfather, John Everest, the son of a butcher, was the first in the family to enter the legal profession. The Everest family in Greenwich can be traced at least as far back as the 1600s, when Tristram Everest, John's great-grandfather, was a butcher in Church Street. Everest was educated at the Royal Military College Cadet Branch in Marlow, Buckinghamshire, before joining the East India Company as a cadet in 1806. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Bengal Artillery and sailed for India in the same year. Everest was a Freemason, initiated date unknown, in Neptune Lodge, Penang, under the authority of the United Grand Lodge of England. Later, having returned to England, he joined Prince of Wales's Lodge, London, on the 20th of February 1829. Little is known about Everest's early years in India, but he apparently had a talent for mathematics and astronomy. He was second to Java in 1814, where Lieutenant Governor Stamford Raffles appointed him to survey the island. He returned to Bengal in 1816, where he improved British knowledge of the Ganges and the Hooghly. He later surveyed the Semisphere line from Calcutta to Benares, covering approximately 400 miles. Everest's work came to the attention of Colonel William Lambton, the leader of the Great Trigonometrical Survey, GTS, who appointed him as the chief assistant. In June 1830, Everest returned to India to continue his work on the GTS, and simultaneously appointed Surveyor General of India. The arc from Cape Comorin to the northern border of British India was finally completed in 1841, under the supervision of Andrew Scott Wall. To his dismay, much of his time was spent on administrative concerns as well as combating criticism from home. He resigned in November 1842, and his commission was formally revoked in December 1843, at which point he returned to England. In 1845, Everest was a passenger on the first voyage of the SS Great Britain, which was the first crossing of any ocean of the world by a screw-propelled steamship. In 1847, Everest published an account of the measurement of the 2 sections of the meridional arc of India, of which he was awarded a medal by the Royal Astronomical Society. He was later elected to Fellowship of the Royal Asiatic Society and the Royal Geographical Society. Everest was promoted to Colonel in 1854, made a Commander of the Order of the Bath in February 1861, and created a Knight Bachelor in March 1861. He died at his home in Hyde Park Gardens on the 1st of December 1866 and was buried in St Andrew's Church, Hove, near Brighton. George Everest had no direct connection with the mountain which bears his name, which he never saw. He was, however, responsible for hiring Andrew Scott Wall, who made the first formal observations of the mountain, and Radnana Sikda, who calculated his height. Before its significance was realised, Mount Everest was originally known as Peak B and later as Peak XV. In March 1856, Wall wrote to the Royal Geographical Society to announce that the mountain was believed to be the highest in the world, and proposed that it be named after my illustrious predecessor. As it was without any local name that we can discover, the native appellation, if it has any, will not very likely be ascertained before we are allowed to penetrate into Nepal. There were in fact several native names among the Nepalese and Tibetans, but those areas were closed off to the British at the time, and people living further to the south of the Himalayas did not have a specific name for the peak. In the decade after 1856, Wall's proposal was widely debated by the Royal Geographical Society and similar bodies. Other scholars of India put forward native names that they believed to be correct. Everest himself objected to his name being used as the native of India could not pronounce it, and it could not be easily written in Hindi. Nonetheless, in 1865, the Society officially settled on Mount Everest as the name. He died at his home in Hyde Park Gardens on December 1st, 1866, and was buried in St Andrew's Church, Hove, near Brighton. Because it's very windy, so there's all the information there on Sir George Everest. And of course, he obviously employed the guy who then later went on to call it Everest after his amazing work that he did back in the early stages. Now, it's only a small little churchyard, so I've only sort of walked around it once. There was a lady sat over there on the park bench as well, so I'm being respectful of her. But I do see a church door. We will try. Nope, it's locked. Of course it's locked. It's always locked. It's early in the morning. It's Brighton town centre. Do you know what I mean? It's bound to be locked anyway. Let's carry on and have a little look, shall we? I think I found it. Now the writing's a little bit dodgy. I bought a torch, but I don't know that'll help. You'll be able to see it better when you're at home. It's really difficult when I'm here and up close. Yeah, I know some people don't believe me, but that's true. Dearly loved husband George Everest died December the 1st, 1886, aged 76 years, and our dear children. Again, you'll be able to see this more easier when you're on your TV screen, but when you're here, it looks really difficult. Emma died February, aged 2 years, 10 months. Oh, wow. So there we had the final resting place of George Everest, the man who Mount Everest was named after. And you think of all those people that have climbed Mount Everest since, and some that haven't returned, of course. But it was this gentleman's work in India and around the area that led to the recognition from the guy that he employed, who then went on to actually find Everest and name it in honour after George Everest there. Wow, amazing. He never got to see it though. How sad is that? Bless you, George. Thank you very much for your hard work, because what you've got to remember is that, you know, without people like George back in the day, you know, you wouldn't be able to have the, you know, the survey system that we had, you know, maps and all that sort of stuff. You know, people like him that went and done all the work and found out all the relevant information to put down onto paper, which obviously led to not sat nav as such, because that came later on with inventions, but It's pouring down now, but without people like him doing surveys and doing the work, who knows where we would have been in the world? We'd have been lost. Anyway, from a very wet, windy and rainy, horrible Brighton and Hove, well, Brighton's a lovely place, but just rubbish down here in terms of weather. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up today if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, all that usual nonsense. And have you ever climbed Everest? Who knows? I haven't. I don't plan on it either, to be honest with you. I don't even like the windy, horrible, wet rain in Brighton. But there you go, that's me. My days of being out in the rain are long gone. Done all that stuff. Right, and I will see you all real soon. Take it easy. Ta-ra.